All right, the camera sequencer. So when you're starting your short, you'll probably have an idea of how many shots you want in mind. Some shorts have 2 shots, some have 8. And a big problem that usually comes up is people, when they start, they'll create if they're doing layout, they'll create a shot one scene for their first shot. And then they'll go in and they'll import the environment and the character and the camera. And then they animate the character and they move the camera to it. And they're like, cool, shot one's finished. Let's start the next shot. They'll close that Maya file, they'll make a new Maya file, and then they'll do that, rinse and repeat every single time. And that's fine. If you want to work that way, that's totally fine. But there is a much faster way of doing it by having all of your cameras in one scene. So this short was a project that I worked on that has 11 shots, which is a lot. And we didn't want to separate all of these out into different Maya files while doing layout. So I created a Maya file called scene. And if I back out of this, you can see that I imported our proxy environment, and I imported our characters. He's doing a half of a T-pose currently in this shot, but I imported everything necessary, and then I just animated all the characters uh, all in one scene. And so if I scrub through this camera sequencer, all of these blue boxes represent one shot. And so these are all just like a bunch of animations I did, and then I just put a camera there recording the animation, and then boom. So I had all my layout in one shot. So how can we get this set up for your project? Well, let me go ahead and close this so we're on the same page. If you're looking at your scene right now, it might look something similar to this. To get your camera sequencer, you'll go up to the Windows tab, and then you'll go to the Animation Editors tab. And down here in the middle, there's the camera sequencer. You can press that. Usually if you have 2 screens, I'd put this on another screen, but since I'm recording, I'm just going to keep this all on one screen at the bottom here. Cool. So how this works is, like I said, each blue box represents one shot. So this shot right here, he steps on this mushroom, and then I cut to the next shot right here. But let's say for some reason this just takes too long, and I want the shot to cut right here, right when he steps on it. Well, that's not a problem with using the camera sequencer. This would be a problem if you were doing if you had this separated into different Maya files, because then you'd have to open that Maya file, and then you'd have to trim down the timeline, and then you have to play blast that, and then stitch them all together in Premiere. Well, with the camera sequencer, you can just grab this where the numbers are, you can just click and drag that, boom, move that there, take this as a whole, move it back there, and now your shot just automatically cuts wherever you tell it to cut, which is very nice, saves you a ton of time. And the best part about all of this is you can play blast from the camera sequencer. So you can play blast all of this out, all stitched together as an MOV file, which I'll get to next, or I'll get to that last. How do you add in a shot? So let's say we want to come over here and we want to add in another shot. So I'm going to do panels, layout, side by side. And I'll make this one. If you want to designate a certain panel for your camera sequencer, you just click something in that panel and then you move your camera sequencer. So right now they're both doing the same thing, but like now I can set this one to my perspective. So, and now this one's dedicated. Oh wait, actually, no. You know what? I'm wrong. The camera sequencer is very finicky. Whatever you last clicked and then you move, that's the one that the camera sequencer is going to be on. So it's very annoying. But anytime you want to scrub through the camera sequencer, you have to click on the panel that you want and then scrub. Like if I click on this panel and then scrub, you'll see it switches that to my camera sequencer panel, which is very annoying. So it's a little confusing. You'll get the hang of it. I've gotten the hang of it, at least over the past few years. Anyways, so let's say we want to add in a shot. I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a little over the shoulder here with this guy. And I'm going to do spacebar, right click, and do new camera. And that creates a camera from my current position, wherever this camera is. So now I'm going to go back to my perspective and like zoom out a bit, make sure my cameras are turned on. Okay, there we go. And so this is the new camera that I just created. And I want to add that into my camera sequencer. It's called Perspective 1. I'm not going to bother renaming it right now. Oh, see how it just changed because I just clicked this. So I want to click over here and then move. I'll zoom in down here. And the way that you navigate your camera sequencer, probably should have talked about this at the beginning, but it's exactly the same as navigating in your viewport. Like you can like click Alt middle mouse button, click and drag. That will move like this. You can also Alt right click and drag. That'll do that. Same thing, same concept. It's exactly the same as moving in your viewport, which is very nice and intuitive. So let's say we want to add in this camera into our sequencer. We'll do create shot. And then I'm creating an over the shoulder of the baby dragon. So that's convenient that that was already in the name right there. So I'm just going to keep that name. And then we're going to set it as perspective 1, which it is set. And I'm going to say from frame, let's do our last one was at, it went from frame 801 to 900. So just so we keep plenty of space between all of our animation, I'm going to set this from 1000 to 1100. And cool. And now I'll press create shot, and it gave me 100 frames of the shot. So now I can click this side of the panel. And then if I scrub through, it goes from this shot to this shot. This shot's a little crazy, but I'll turn on my film gate or my resolution gate. And then I'll go ahead and if I press this little gear button, it'll show me all the options. So I'll do that. And then let me go back to my perspective. And then maybe I should like adjust this because it is a little crazy, but, and then I'll maybe move it back a bit. Whoop. There we go. Yeah, that's good enough. A little jank, but you know, what is it these days? But yeah, that works. So now I can just scrub through here and it goes straight from, let me get this one out of here. It goes straight from our previous shot over to this new shot that we just made, which is awesome. So now let's say we're ready to play blast from the camera sequencer. Very, very easy. We'll just go ahead and set this back to perspective. And I want to play blast from this window. So I'm going to click this one and I'll scrub to make sure everything looks right. Everything looks right, looks good, except there's NURB curves on it, which is, you don't want that in your play blast. So to get rid of anything in the viewport that I don't want, I'm going to press show and press none. So that gets rid of everything. And then I'll do show and just do polygons. That way, we're not going to be seeing cameras. We're not going to be seeing NURB curves, nothing like that. We're just seeing what we want to see. And now we can go up to Windows, and I'll do Play Blast. And we'll do start to end. So this will be from whenever you're doing Play Blasts, you want to look at the bottom numbers, not the top ones. So this will be from frame 14 to frame 836. So we'll do frame 14 to frame 836. Now this might be a little confusing, but the top numbers represent the frames within Maya's space, and the bottom numbers represent the frames within the camera sequencer space. So in total, this entire short is about 830 frames long. It's 836 minus 14, whatever number that is. That's how many frames long this short is. But in Maya, I started shot 1 from frame 1 to frame 172, and then I started shot 2 from frame 226 to 390. So I'm actually jumping frames in Maya, but overall, the frames of the entire video MOV file itself is around 836, 822 frames in total. So sorry if that's a little confusing. Bottom line is whenever you play blast, you want to just look at these bottom numbers. So we'll turn that quality up, we'll turn that scale up, and yeah. Oh, yeah. This is important. You're going to want to click this box right here that says use sequence time. So instead of looking at Maya, like I just explained, it's going to be looking at the camera sequencers. So it's looking at those bottom numbers right there. And then I'll do save to file. And then I'll just call this play blast. And then I'll do camera sequencer. Save. All right. And now I can go ahead and press play blast, and let's cross our fingers, hope everything looks good. All right. So it looks like it's play blasting from this left panel, which is fine. And it looks like everything is working just as I wanted. It's actually stitching all of these shots together, all into one MOV file. So I don't have to play blast from each 11 like if I separated this out into 11 files, I wouldn't have to open and close, play blast, like that would just take forever. Right now, it's just doing everything all in one file, stitching them together as it goes. Very convenient. Definitely recommend you guys use this. It is a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get it, it will save you so much time. It is so useful. And then there's that shot that way added in at the very end. So it's going to pop up now, but you probably won't be able to see it because I'm only sharing my Maya screen. But yeah, that's the basics of the graph editor. Super easy and useful to use. Hope you guys enjoyed it.